Okay. So far, so good. We're waiting for the ad to run out before I jump in, but so far, so good. I bet a bunch of people showed up yesterday because it kept clicking. It kept losing connection, so it kept pinging that I was going live over and over again. So people noticed it instead of just one and then it's stable. Uh, that's interesting. Also, thank you for the follow. That was yesterday after I gave up on stream. No, it was this morning. Very confused. Um, and it says we're back. So we're back. You're looking at the ceiling. We're back. We're alive. Let me turn that thing on. Well, sorry about yesterday. It's just I couldn't get it worked out. I tried resetting. I tried rebooting my Wi-Fi, rebooting everything. We rebooted the modem and the router. Today everything looks good. I don't know. I don't know. I really wish that that fiber internet would hurry up and get here, and then I could dump this stupid Spectrum stuff, and we can get a good, nice, stable, solid, reliable internet. Um, yeah. So, welcome in. Hello. Back to the party. Um, so the premise we're working from today is I mentioned uh, probably not last week, probably the week before, in other conversation, that I'm always doing exotic cuisines, exotic to me, um, exploring around, and I never do my local cuisine, the food of my people here. Um, so that's what I'm doing. This is the food of where I currently live, the food of my immediate people. You could walk down the street and everyone would know the thing I'm making and be like, "Yeah, that's pretty good," without having to taste it. Miss Sepsi, hi, welcome in. You're first. You made it. So what I'm making is Tater Tot Hot Dish. Now, hot dish is like it's a casserole, but it's called hot dish in this area, especially in the Minnesota side. Um, and I don't know why, other than it's a dish and it's hot. Um, it's it's like a shepherd's pie or a pot pie or something like that, um, but not quite. A little bit different. And one of the key elements to it is that it's got condensed cream soup in it. Um, you could make it yourself, and in fact, when I was looking up references to make sure I wasn't going to completely mess stuff up, um, the first one I came across had it had you making your own condensed cream soup, which you can do. It's a roux that you use to thicken milk, and then you infuse it with, and typically mushroom, and a little bit of salt and some spices. Um, I'm using cream of mushroom. because I want the mushroom. But the version that you make yourself is not the original version. This dish came about to use these condensed cream soups. The dish was created in the era of Campbell's condensed soups to use these things. So we're using these things because that's the correct way to make it. And we do need 2 cans. We do need 2 cans. I have 2 cans. This one was 50 cents. Obviously, this isn't Campbell's brand. This is just local store brand. And yeah, so it's some pretty straightforward stuff, honestly. We've got our cans of condensed soup. We've got our ground beef. A lot of stuff on sale today. We need an onion. We need an, and it's a little just sort of free-form flexible. Ooh, that's gonna get gotten rid of. Unfortunately, I don't need that today. I just need. Those aren't looking so good either. These ones are looking great though. We're gonna use one of these white carrots. Ooh, it went a little sprouty. Reminder, that's a carrot. I just happen to have white carrots. And I'm going to toss the parsnips because they've actually gone off. The ones that I have left, I never quite got to them. And I just had to push past them to get to that carrot. So we're just going to go ahead and say no. No to the parsnip. Wash my hand real quick. So, have you ever had Tater Tot Hot Dish? Or something in this vein? Even heard of it? I'm going to pull up a reference. Now, I would say, so the recipes you find for this are, it calls for like an onion and then a mixed bag of peas and carrots. Now, I don't have a mixed bag of peas and carrots, so we're going to use a carrot. I do have some frozen peas. And I don't have any fresh corn, but I think, and I actually should have checked, but we're going to check now, and I, in fact, do, good, have canned corn. You know, I actually have canned peas, too. I don't think we need a full can of corn. You have heard of it, you've never had it, you want to try it. Well, it's actually like pretty easy. It's meant to be made from all these sort of just basic staple things. Basic staple things in the context of the upper Midwest. Let's see, what else do they typically? They have cheese on top, otherwise they have this. It's real basic. That's the thing. We can zip it up. We can spruce it up a little bit. I might throw in some extra garlic just to give it an enhance. I don't think I want to cheese the top. That would be the last thing we do anyway. So I guess we just get started. And then it needs to bake. And then while it's baking, I don't know, I'll play around, do something else. But step one is the ground beef. And it is one of these stupid bricks. These are not the best. The meat in these bricks tends to be a little compressed and overworked. It's not good if you want to make like a burger. But if you just want to cook it down into crumbles, which is what we're doing, it's fine. If you want a burger, I would get fresh ground, if at all possible. We need a pan for that. Do I want to non-stick this? I don't think we need to non-stick this because it'll help build a fond and enhance our flavors. So let's just go with a normal steel. Oops. I rearranged the order. In reinstalling the camera. By the way, I had to completely reinstall the camera to make it work, to fix the problems with this camera. I have no idea why it lost its mind, but I just had to go into my driver files and delete every entry for the camera so that it would forget that it had ever been installed. So that when I replugged it in, it pretended that it was a brand new install, and that fixed everything. So I don't know. Flemish, hi. Thank you for subscribing. Oh my gosh. Your third month. Amazing. My local delicacy. See, I think this is less of a delicacy and more of a, like, staple. Let's see, this is low-fat beef, but it still has enough fat. I'm going to see how much fat comes out of this beef before I try adding more fat to this. If you're going to a church potluck, specifically a church potluck, you are guaranteed to see Tater Tot Hot Dish there. Probably more than one. And they will be just slightly different than each other. But people will comment on how they're different. It's it's that kind of thing. And a large portion of the flavor that we're working with here comes from the condensed soup. So if you want to customize your flavors, the place to do it is to construct your own condensed soup, which we are not doing. But step one, we need to cook down the beef into little individual crumbles. But thank you so much. Welcome in. Hi. Yeah, our internet problems yesterday they just never cleared up, and I don't really have a good explanation for it. I reset everything, and it was just as bad, but then today everything's fine. So it had to have been on the network's end. I don't know. And again, this camera, I don't know what happened. I don't know what it was. Well, I know what triggered it. It's when I moved this camera into the other room for our big jackfruit thing. It worked great in there, but when I brought it back in here, it had a fit. It wouldn't let me change stuff. It just locked out all of its settings and it wouldn't let me change stuff. And then it somehow changed its own settings because it was kind of blown out initially, but then when we came back, it was super blown out to the point where I had to, like, it completely forgot that it was able to adjust its own brightness. It was bizarre. So that's, I don't know. On my reading about it, I unfortunately discovered that the general consensus is Razer makes some excellent hardware, but the software that comes with that hardware that runs it is a mess. And I definitely encountered that. So it's really too bad because it is an extremely nice piece of hardware. But if it's going to behave like this, then I have to second guess if I'm going to invest in an additional Razer down the line. Get this guy broken up. See any loose vegetables? I've got a bunch of just loose random vegetables around that I should throw in if I am able to. Because they're not going to keep forever. But I don't want to pollute this too much. We can't throw anything like hot in there other than some black pepper. A lot of bell peppers, some eggplants, a couple tomatoes. I don't think we're going to manage any of it. I'm not sure how big this is going to end up being at the end. Ideally, I would get a circular baking dish for it because you can really do a decorative topping. If you do a rectangular, that's the more traditional, but it looks less decorative. So yeah, step one is brown off your meat. This is a low-fat beef. Not ideal for burgers, also because it's low-fat. You want burgers to be a pretty fatty grind, typically. But we'll see how much we get. If we get enough to work with, then I can just use the fat drippings from this for all the rest of it. Otherwise, we'll throw some butter in. Butter's always tasty. Butter's the go-to for sure. If you're not aware of where I'm from and what we're working with here, I'm actually originally from eastern Wisconsin, but I currently live in western Wisconsin, which is very close to Minnesota. And this type of thing is very much a Wisconsin, Minnesota, and like maybe part of Iowa, that area thing. So the flavors aren't, it's low on spice. The flavors are built from some pretty basic elements as opposed to a bunch of herbs. And it's hearty to get you through those cold winters. I'm going to peel this carrot because the skin looks a little dirty. And yes, again, this is a carrot. It's just a white carrot. It's going to throw off the colors of our finished dish a little bit, but it can't be helped. It's what I've got, and I'm not really gonna. It still tastes like a carrot. I'm not gonna really waste my time getting new carrots just for the color when I can use my existing carrot. And also, as I said, the like go-to thing that you're supposed to use is frozen peas and carrots. It's a specific like bagged frozen vegetable. Oh, well, neat. It's a nice place. I really hope we have had a political problem here around these parts for a while, and we recently got rid of our gerrymander, and I'm hoping that we can like get back to some things because I really like. It's cold, but I like the climate. I think everything's very, you know, it's a nice place to live. I just wish our politics was a lot better. And this is the year I think we can balance it out. That's the thing. Balance it out. Very middle of the road. Very moderate, even split, good, healthy discourse. I don't mind the stereotypical jokes. I think they are actually pretty funny. I understand the stereotypes, and you know what? You know, they're they're not completely inaccurate. I'm gonna start chopping stuff while we're finishing. The meat is very close to where I want it to be over there. So, because it just needs to be all browned, cooked. It doesn't need to be like getting charred bits or anything on it. We just don't want any pink bits in it. It wants to be cooked through. Oh, I should preheating the oven. Preheat your oven to 350. I don't know what that is in Celsius off the top of my head. 160, I want to say. I might know what it is off the top of my head. I should know these. I should learn these. That's 176. So 175. Okay, let's get that out of there. 15 bars per square mile. We are definitely a very drunk place. That is not a stereotype, that is a truth. My hometown had one church and 2 bars. Little tiny, unincorporated, you know, blip of a town. My current home is like one of the top 5 drunkest cities in America. It's true. Okay, we are going to need some butter. This meat was definitely too lean to give me enough starting fat to work with for our vegetable. Which is fine, because butter will make it taste better. That's why it's called butter. And any little burnt on beef bits that we get in here will also be nice. Okay. 2-to-1 bars to churches. Yes. The 2-to-1 bars to churches. We need that onion next, because the onion wants to go in there and start getting translucent. So I should have been chopping the onion. I need a bigger knife for chopping an onion. Come, join me over here. Really, I should have done mise en place and gotten all my stuff chopped and ready before we jumped in. Because that is the proper way, and I just, you know, didn't do it. You know what? I'm gonna take that off the heat while I'm chopping so I don't end up burning the empty pan over there. That wouldn't be good. Interestingly, for this being like the food of my people, there's neither beer nor cheese in it. Which are the two, like, things we're most known for. But again, this is like the church potluck staple. And you can put cheese on it. Cheese is definitely a pretty common add-on to this nonsense. We're going to slide over. The pan is still hot, but it's off the heat, so it's not getting additional heat. So things will get moving a little bit, but not too bad while we keep chopping. So we want to chop all of it up. This is definitely probably too big of an onion, but I'm using the whole thing because I don't really like saving extra onion. Wow, the outer skin of this onion, the outer layer of that onion really wants to peel away awkwardly. That's not nice. But you know, we're going into the cool weather. For the cool weather, this is just the kind of thing. It's hearty, it's rich, it's warming. What more could you want? Okay, let's finish chopping up these carrot pieces. Eventually we'll get through all the white carrots and we will get back to some orange carrots. But for the time being, I still have white carrots. Bookwoman, hi. In Green Bay, there are, 2-1 the other way. Interesting. Interesting. Well, we do also love our churches around here. Also, hi, Bookwoman. Welcome, welcome. Our internet is stabilized. Yep. Whatever it was yesterday wasn't on my end because all my resets didn't work. So, once again, thank you, Spectrum. Okay, sliding back over. Get the heat back on that one. It did. I don't know. The thing is, so in the kitchen here, I don't have a wired connection, so I'm on the Wi-Fi. And I definitely get some interruptions that feel like they are signal interference. But I can't figure out what's causing it. Because when I'll go in the other room, closer to where the thing is, like I went in there and I checked, and it was also having stability problems in there, but the dips weren't going to zero. And the peaks weren't getting up to where it's supposed to be, but the dips were also not going to zero. So it was like it was having this erratic connection, and then because of the distance, it was also like chopping the whole thing off. So I was getting these literal interruptions. I don't know. Normally, it's not a problem. I just said that needed butter, and I didn't do the butter. Apparently, those of us living here in the old dairy land are not the biggest eaters of butter. Because I did this with, it was Danish people? It was somebody from Scandinavia was here, and I threw some butter in the pan. I said, we're putting in quite a lot of butter. And they said, that's not a lot of butter. And it was like half a stick of butter. So I guess Northern Europeans eat a lot more butter. I thought we'd be on the high end for butter as well, but I guess not. I'm going to give it a pinch of salt to help these vegetables soften up and sweeten up. Do I want to put any celery in here? I don't think I typically put celery in here. I'm doing a mix because it's the easy way to do it. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to lose out on the orange bits, but we're going to have the yellow and green bits. So it'll still probably look fine. The thing is, these are most frequently served in a glass. They're baked and served in a glass casserole dish. So you can see the sides. So having the interior be like multicolored is part of the presentation. We should get this corn open as well. Again, we're not going to need the whole corn. So it may have had it may have been having a problem yesterday. I did look on, like, is Spectrum down? And they're having widespread outages in the east. Not in the hurricane damage area, but sort of west of that. And I wonder if it might be a knock-on from that. And there was also just literally an outage blip right on top of me, so that's part of it too. We need to drain the corn water. We don't need the corn water. Corn water is essentially just water, salt, and whatever, mostly sugars, dissolved out of the corn. But I think we need half a can of corn. That's the sort of the odd thing. You can't get a small can of corn. The oven is hot, so whenever we get it all together, we can throw it in there. And then while it's baking, I guess we're just going to futz around and find something else. I'll see what I've got. I know it's considered a Minnesota thing, but I definitely remember this growing up on the east side of the state as well. Not necessarily at home, but like I said, the church potluck. It's a staple. So the amount of peas and carrots and corn is supposed to be like eyeballed. With our carrots being white, it's really kind of hard to see at a glance which ones are carrots. But it should be like 1 to 1 to 1 ish. So you get that rainbow effect. And we're going to do the carrots and the peas in here, but they don't need to be heavily cooked. Peas, for one thing, you can usually throw frozen peas directly into whatever, and they're so small and they cook so readily that they'll be cooked through just incidental heat. I'll throw them into like a stir fry, frozen, and just kind of trust that they'll be done and not have a problem. And also, frozen is the best way to get peas. I have some canned peas, and honestly, I don't know what to do with them because they're just not as good as frozen peas. They're like bad peas. It's strange. What I'm saying is get frozen peas. They're usually even better than fresh peas. Do I have any other frozen peas? No. They're usually better than fresh peas. I was gonna hold one up because they're frozen right at the farms. Liz, hi, welcome. Come on in. We're softening some white carrots and onions, and I'm chit-chatting while they in butter. We're working with butter here, and I'm doing a little chit-chat. The carrots I don't think need to be like super soft. We want the onions to be translucent, essentially for the same reason that we do it in French and Italian cooking. We're trying to develop the flavors. And we may as well do that with the carrots while we're at it. But again, we're not looking for softness because this is all going to get baked off. So so that's our gauge. That's what we're looking at is, are the onions sort of getting that soft translucency to them? Because I can put this butter away. Actually, the butter might be useful for greasing our pan. We grease the pan to make sure that our stuff releases because the cream soups have a lot of starch in them. Which gives you a nice, thick, rich interior to your hot dish, but it can also stick because heated starch liquid is how you make glue. Oh, and speaking of that, so you remember the banana fritters. Cleanup overall was not too bad, except at some point when I was dolloping one in, I dripped the raw batter onto the mesh grating that I was draining them on, and I did not clean off that mesh because I filled up my thing, so I put some stuff off. So I did not clean up that mesh the same night, and by the morning it had hardened, and oh my god, that stuff, once it dries, is like cement. So if you try making the banana fritters, be sure to clean up any of the raw batter while it is still wet, because it turns into just cement if you let it harden up. So yeah, caution. This stuff is looking pretty good. Most of the smaller pieces of onion are like reasonably translucent. So I'm going to start adding more stuff. Approximately half of the corn. I I'm running this a little bit below medium because I don't want the stuff to really cook too fast here. I don't want to risk burning anything. So what's going on? What are you guys having? How was yesterday? Aside from internet troubles. Okay, bunch of sort of icy bits on our peas, but that will melt away real fast. Yesterday was a good day. Glad to hear it. My yesterday was fine, I guess. Aside from the issues here. I'm going to zhuzh this up in ways that people would disapprove. I'm going to add some onion powder. I'm going to add some garlic powder. And I'm going to add just a spritz of thyme. We don't want much. I'm going to add just a spritz of oregano too. I'm also going to add black pepper, but I'm not going to add the black pepper until much later on, when it's off the heat. Get that stuff stirred in. That will enhance our flavors a little bit. Oh, we should get a spatula ready. There's going to be some scraping required. We actually don't need the wooden one anymore because that was for breaking up the meat. We can just use a regular spatula to push this stuff around. Okay. Return of the meat. Get it all mixed in. Now is the time when I add 2 cans of condensed cream of mushroom. Which again, if you really want to, you can make your own cream of mushroom condensed soup. Is there any seasoning? There is some salt. There was no seasoning on the meat directly. There's some salt in the vegetables, and we added some garlic powder, some onion powder, a little bit of thyme, and a little bit of oregano just before I added the meat. Otherwise, the meat was naked. As is traditional, most of the flavor comes from this. And just the fact that we've got a couple of aromatics and some beef in there. It is a mild Midwestern dish, for sure. Like, not gonna lie, we're not working with strong flavors today. You're right. I'm gonna stir in the first can and see what it looks like before I go for the second can. In terms of volume, 2 cans is the amount that is like recommended. But let's see what it looks like first. It's supposed to be kind of soupy. But let's see what it looks like first before I overcommit. In fact, we can take the heat off. I may have added too much time, even though I just added a tiny bit. A little bit of time goes a long way. And now, see, I think it wants to be more soupy than that. I think we're going to end up with a dry interior. So we're doing 2 cans. If you've never had condensed cream soups, what they are is a broth. It's like a bechamel. It's like a bechamel. It's got no actual cream in it. That's not what the cream is. The cream is because it's creamed in the sense of it being a starch thickened water, mushrooms, flour, a little bit of oil, starch, salt, another kind of starch. There is a little bit of cream in this one, but just a little bit because it's in a less than 2% section. Yeast extract, natural flavor, dehydrated garlic, lactic acid. So there is a little bit of dairy in it, but the bulk of what it is it's a starch thickened broth. It's like an instant bechamel. And if you were making this yourself, that's what you would do, is you would make a bechamel. Yeah, that's the sort of gloopy consistency this is supposed to have. We'll get it all thoroughly stirred together. We will consider if we want any more peas or carrots. Not carrots, corn. Peas or corn. And we will figure out what size container I want to bake this in. It's going to be about that big. Canada 07, you don't have coil stones? I've been looking to upgrade to one of those glass tops. Hi, welcome in. What's going on? This is the consistency it's supposed to have. So, do I want any more peas or corn? Don't get the glass top? Well, I rent, so I'm not getting my own stove either way. I am going to add a little bit more corn and a little bit more peas. I think these suck to clean. Stuff gets down in between the dish there, and you get these rusty buildup. We are making Tater Tot Hot Dish, which is the food of my people, the food of Wisconsin, Minnesota. It is definitely related to a shepherd's pie. That is for sure the family of foods that it is in. What we've got in there is ground beef. We started with the ground beef in the pan. We transferred it out. It was very lean, so I added some butter to do our vegetables. Um, what's the temperature where I'm at today? Oh, I missed that question. Um, Chilly, warm. What was I saying? We started with some ground beef. It was very lean, so I had to add some butter to the pan instead of just using the drippings. Um, and then we did onions and carrots until the onions got translucent. Now the carrots I have, I can show you another one because I've got more of them, are a very strange thing. They are they're like tan, and when on the inside they're like almost snow white. They still taste like carrots, but they look nothing like carrots. So there are carrots in there, um, but you can't see them because they're white and they disappeared. Um, Peas, corn, salt, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of oregano. We're going to add some black pepper now. Which is the spiciest things get around here is some black pepper. Again, I'm enhancing our flavors a little bit compared to the baseline, but what we're working with is intended to be a very mildly spiced thing. And then the goopy element, which is where you came in, we were just stirring that in, is cream of mushroom soup condensed, which we opted not to make our own because making your own is not traditional. The traditional way to make this is to use the cans. MJ, hi, welcome, welcome. You did miss the beginning. This is going to bake for a while, so we're going to do a second thing, and I don't know what it's going to be at the moment, so we're going to have to do a brainstorm real quick. But this has to bake. And yeah, everything's working. I haven't dropped any frames. I don't know what was up with the internet yesterday. Everything is fine. I talked about it right at the beginning. It just completely shat itself yesterday, and I have no explanation for it. It had to have been upstream of me because, again, here we are, same connection. I haven't done anything different from yesterday. Everything's fine. Also, the camera. I didn't get to talk about the camera yesterday. We'll get back to that in a sec. I need to figure out a dish. What size baking container we're putting this in, because this is Tater Tot Hot Dish. So we have not even added the namesake ingredient yet. What am I? This is a big pile of food. This is a shareable. It's gonna be yum. It's just gonna be kind of mild and low spice yum. It's okay if it sticks up a little bit, but it doesn't want to. I can't afford it to be like mounded. So, is that going to be too small? This was the one I had in mind, and I think we've overshot the volume just a little bit. I could just lose some of the filling, maybe make a little tiny one for like a single serve. I know a rectangle pan is the classic. I wanted to try doing a round pan. I don't think any of my round pans are big enough. Because with a round pan you can do a decorative arrangement. Lose track of all my pans. I got too many pans these days. I don't think the pie plates are the right thing. I do have to leave room for the tots. That's the issue. So it can't be completely full because I have to be able to fit the tots in. So let's start. I'll show you a tater tot when we get to them, which is going to be real soon. Let's get a scooper and do this scoop wise. I might just not use all the filling and then make a second one. Again, it's okay if it sticks up a little bit. That's fine. That's not a problem. So we are going to get as much of this in as we can. I think that's going to work. We just have to, yeah. No, I think it's gonna be fine. Just make sure that we level it out as we go. Wow, that's actually, I think, just perfect. We level it out. Ish. And now, the fun part. I'm actually going to move all of this stuff out of the way for the fun part. Now, I did not get branded Ore-Ida tater tots. Technically, only Ore-Ida brand is allowed to use tater tot because they trademarked the term tater tot. Everybody else has to call them something else. So we're using Linden Farms formed potatoes today, but they're the same thing. And that there is a tater tot. I guess the difference I would say between a tater tot and a croquette, in my mind, is that a tater tot is made from shredded potato, and a croquette is mashed. And no need to thaw these, we're putting them in frozen. And effectively what we're doing is, yes, making like a shepherd's pie, but instead of a mashed potato topping, it is a tater tot topping. And tater tots, because they're meant to be, so the good tater tots are fried, but people aren't frying them at home. They're typically baking them at home. That's a long one. I'll just have that long one be a double. So, in order to facilitate that, they put oil right into them so that they'll brown up when you bake them without having to add more oil. So you can see my hands are getting shiny because they're slightly greasy right out of the package. In this case, that helps because it means that our topping is going to get a nice browning to it without having to add anything extra. And the tots will crisp up on the exposed upper surface and give us a nice crispy topping. And we are losing our pattern a little bit. I need a skinny one. There we go. They're ever so slightly irregular. It is not customary to douse this with hot sauce because this is Wisconsin. This is the upper Midwest. Hot sauce is too hot. The traditional topping for this is ketchup, which is about as spicy as a lot of people around here can handle, at least stereotypically. Also, optional cheese. Although I think hot sauce would be very tasty on this. You love tots? Everyone loves tots. Who doesn't love tater tots? They're like so perfect. We're losing our pattern at the end here because they're slightly different sizes. I think hot sauce would be great. No, that sounds like a good idea. Knife. Hey, we're going to do a thing where we're going to take a tater tot and cut it in half so that I can nestle them into that gap there. Okay. Kind of push them so that they rest, and that there is ready for baking. And it takes a while, so we're going to do something else while it bakes. All the interior is pretty much cooked edible at the moment, so we don't have to worry about cooking it through. But we want it to be nice and bubbly and thickened, and especially the topping to be golden brown and crispy and delicious. So the reference I pulled up, because I could not remember how to bake these, or how long to bake these, says an hour. A different one said 30 minutes. So we're going to go for until it looks good. So we will check it every few minutes. Not every few minutes. We'll check it at 30 minutes and see what it looks like, which is 30 minutes from now. Which means, in the meantime, we can concoct a side dish. Perhaps mac and cheese makes 40 minutes. So probably around that. This is shallower. Sorry, I know Bookwoman's mac and cheese. We should make that sometime. That's a good casserole too. This is shallower, but we want the top to be extra crispy. So yeah, what are we doing as a side? What else have I got? So this is a meat and veg main thing. We have some vegetables, some broccoli. It's not looking great. Apparently I forgot I had a broccoli in here and let it get away from me. I don't know. If we're sticking with the church potluck, if I'm sticking with the church potluck, I should stick with the church potluck. Ooh, a dessert from the corn. Now, there's not a ton of corn left, but there is, half a can. The remaining corn, and it's sweet corn, whole kernel sweet corn. I've already got the oven going, so we could potentially make like a small thing to go with the oven. Good idea. Good idea. Not doing that. I'm not doing cream corn. Doing whole kernel corn. I don't want to do any more frying. Hi, Raya. Welcome in. I don't want to do deep frying, so we could do that if we do a just pan fry, which can work. I almost want to try like a corn custard. Let's see. We also have a little bit of butter left. Sweet corn as a dessert is such an interesting idea. I don't have one on the tip of my tongue to jump to. Bleh. Sweet corn desserts. That. Take me there. Sorry, I'm doing research on the side, which is corn ice cream. I have no cream. I have no cream on hand at the moment, so I cannot do that. I have milk. Butter, eggs, sweetened condensed milk, regular milk, flour, cinnamon. Bakes at the same temperature we're working at now, but it bakes for a long time. We're making a whole cake. We don't need to make a whole cake. Sweet corn cake. But that's peach. I don't have any peaches. What have I got in other cans? Again, we don't have much of it, so I'll be making like a single serving version. I've got coconut milk. I've got tomatoes, peas, beans, peanuts, evaporated milk. Now you can't whip that into an ice cream. I don't think. we do have evaporated milk that we could work with for something that wants something closer to cream. So I'm going to grab evaporated milk. 25 cents. I have powdered milk. We can add milk to our milk and make a milkier milk. Do we play in the space with it? This is called pastel de elote, Mexican corn cake. Don't think we're going to be able to pull that one off because I didn't see a sweetened condensed milk in there, just a evaporated milk. Coconut pudding. Cake baked. What I want is like a corn custard. I feel like I could do a corn. Eggs. We don't have heavy whipping cream, but I can do sweetened condensed. Not sweetened condensed, evaporated. Okay, I think we're gonna. There's a sweet corn coconut pudding from Laos. Hey Rayuya, I'm gonna give you a permit. Drop the link if you've got one. Oh, it didn't work. Why didn't that work? Can I not? I guess DM me the link. Because I thought that was supposed to give you permission to post a link, but I guess not. Weird. You see the link. I don't see the link. I got 3 little stars. Which is what I get when somebody posts a link who doesn't have permission. And I thought I just gave you permission, so... we're going to need eggs. We're going to need milk. Eggs, milk, sweet corn. This is the general sort of gist of an idea I've got, is like a little corn pudding, because we only have, half a can of corn. So I don't, all the recipes are like, oh, we'll make a giant, crazy cake of corn. Which would be fine, except I just want to use up a little thing. So I feel like 1 egg thank you, Rayuya. Laotian sweet corn coconut pudding. Let's see if I've got this stuff to work with. Tapioca pearl, I don't have. I have tapioca powder, sweet corn. Make a tapioca pearls. 1 can of coconut milk. It looks interesting and pretty straightforward, but I don't have tapioca pearls, so I'm not sure. And that seems like a pretty major component of the dish, so I'm not sure I can do it justice with what I've got on hand. Thank you, though. Okay, if I'm gonna be a weirdo about this, let's do front left. Custard. I think I'm going to attempt this corn custard. And we're going to cut it in half. Oh, I think we're going to cut it in less than half. Right, because tapioca pearls are like big chunks of tapioca, and the powder is ground down, but all I've got on hand is the powder right now. Okay, I am just kind of going to wing this. I don't really have a recipe that I'm terribly enthused with, so we're gonna be experimental. Strap in. We're doing one of these. What's a proportion for a custard? Simple custard. 1 cup to 1 egg. Okay. So we're going to find out how much is in this can, and we're going to use that to judge 1.5 cups. Okay, 1.5 cups means I probably should use this gigantic egg. So I don't know where else I would use the gigantic egg, but this seems like the perfect place to use a gigantic egg. So slide over here. Any fruit to mix in with this? Yes. I have some frozen raspberries. I have some frozen raspberries. We could do corn and raspberry. Good idea. Good idea. suppose I didn't need to measure this out. I could have just looked at the side of the can where it tells you how much is in the can. Oh well, too late now. Oop. This might even be big enough to be a double yolk. Nope, just a ton of white. That's fine. Okay, I'm not sure what we're making. I'm not sure entirely what we're making. We are gonna be weird. Okay. Whisked in, heat on low. We'll add a few things. Just kind of, let's see, maple, root beer, citron. Ooh, almond. Almond would be good. That one's also almond. We don't have any vanilla. We don't have any vanilla. I must have used up my vanilla on something and not realized it. That's fine. I can play in the realm of no vanilla. I was also thinking the tapioca flour would be good here as a thickener. Put some nutmeg in. We're going to want a pinch of salt. All desserts want a pinch of salt. We don't have vanilla. We could do pandan. It would make this turn green. It would make this turn green, which might not be what I'm looking for. But it would give us an interesting flavor. But maybe I just want to lean in on the corn element of it. What are you? Black food coloring. That's not what I'm looking for. We also want some sugar in here. If we've cut this down, we need like 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'll do 2 tablespoons of sugar in there now. Get that whisked in. What we don't want this to do is scramble the egg. That's kind of where we're being touchy and gentle. Yeah, I think cinnamon would be overpowering in this. Nutmeg is definitely the flavor that I would want. like maybe just a hint of cinnamon, but I think it would be easily overpowering something like this. Nutmeg's definitely my go-to for this type of thing. I don't want to put the corn in there until we've got it to the point where it's going to start to thicken a little bit, because the corn will try to sink. Or float, one or the other. It's not going to disperse nicely until we get that stuff thickened up a bit. I put the grater in its case and opened the fridge and was like, where does this go? And then I realized that I was trying to put it in the fridge because I was going to put the eggs away. Those do go in the fridge. Okay, we need to keep an eye on this. And we can take its temperature too. This reference recipe actually uses cornstarch. Remove it from the heat before it boils. Thank you. So we just gotta watch it. I'm going to add, because there is, I don't know if you can even see it, the tiniest dribble of almond extract in this. And I'm just going to add that, and we're just going to have a hint of almond in here because I want to use this up, and I need to use it up on some desserty thing. Ooh, I can feel more resistance in the whisk. So it's thickened up a little bit. Where's the tapioca starch? Okay. So yeah, I want to get this thickened to a custardy consistency, and then we'll stir the corn into it. I guess we're not using milk. I got the milk out. Put the milk away. We're not using powdered milk, but we could use powdered milk. We could make this milkier by adding powdered milk to it. Which I'm doing recklessly. Recklessly, without regard to recipe. I do want to take its temperature. I want to see what we're getting to. We're at just about 140. Okay. It says we can push it to 180. developed thick enough to sort of form a foam on the top when I whisk it vigorously, so that's a good sign. .143. Hit that with a little bit more heat. We can come up a little bit faster than that. Okay, I think we've got a concept of an idea. And I'm prepared to chuck in a tablespoon of tapioca to really solidify this as well. This would be a very bad place to put in agar because you need to boil agar. And boiling the eggs would cause them to scramble. I guess we're not baking this either. We're just going to serve it as a custard. Or are we baking this? Should we bake this? Hold on. I was initially thinking I'll bake this, but then the reference I pulled up was a no bake. But then I was thinking we should bake this, right? Yeah, bake it. Make bakies. Blah, 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 blah. We might have too much liquid for the amount of egg, even though I used a giant egg. Oh, I think we're hitting off the heat. Make sure we're not scrambling our egg here. Make sure we're not scrambling our egg here. Check our temp. 160, 161, 165. Still rising, but very slowly falling a little bit. Okay, so we're very close to where I want to stop. Switching to the spatula. It definitely has a thicker feel to it. If it starts to, I wish I hadn't vigorously whisked it so hard, because now it's got all these little bubbles in it. Pop, little bubbles, pop. They won't pop because they're stabilized by cooked egg protein. I think it's going to start bubbling soon. It feels like it's just about trying to. Temperature's only a few degrees higher than it was. 65. And rising gently. Okay, what time do we have on the Oh, it's been 31 minutes on our main event. It sounds lightly bubbly. I think the top needs a little bit more browning. So I am happy to. Oop, I just saw this bubble, so we got to get that off the heat, or we'll have scrambled eggs. We might already have some scrambled eggs. Okay, but off the heat, because that's that. I'm gonna chuck in our corn. Okay, okay. I guess we're not doing it baked because it should reasonably thicken now, right? I want to give it some tapioca. A lot of noise coming from the back alley right now. What's going on? Oh. It's children. Disgusting children. No, it's the neighbor kids. Okay. Put this in while it's still hot. Should dissolve and thicken us. It smells a little bit like I might have scrambled some of the eggs. So there's that. Get out of my whisk corn. Okay. That's probably a thing. A chinoy. No, I have a strainer, like an old-fashioned strainer. I already put the corn in there, so I've already screwed it up. If I whisk it, if I strain it now, I'm straining out the corn. I'm gonna just trust. I'm gonna trust even though I have no reason to trust. And I guess are we baking this? Are we baking this or are we chilling this? Because at the moment, I feel like it wants to be chilled into a custard, into a, like a, you know, like a cold dessert as opposed to baked. But I know custards go both ways. I don't know. I guess I didn't establish which way I was going when I started. I also haven't tasted it. I should probably taste it. You can really taste the nutmeg. Zipsy says chill it. Yeah, I think a baked custard would be, I wouldn't have heated it. I would have blended it cold and then baked it, and then the oven would stabilize it for us, and it would be much more egg forward, more like a cheesecake. I've never made a baked custard, I think. Oh, you know what I've got? I have to find it now. I've got a box of instant flan. Here it is. This stuff. It's an instant flan, and that's a baked custard. And then you turn it out, and it turns into a little. Pillar of custard. So that should be my reference. How to make. Mixture will thicken as it cools. Oh no, this is mixture will thicken as it cools. Gotcha. Okay, I guess we're gonna chill it. We're gonna chill the heck out. Okay. In that case, we're sticking with these guys. I'm doing this over the sink for safety. Good thing. It's very drippy. Get the last 2 corns out of there. Okay, there they are. The corns are not either obviously floating or sinking, so I think we've got at least decent distributions on them. I could, actually, I don't know if there's enough egg in there. I was almost going to say I could probably freeze this and make a decent facsimile of an ice cream, but we're not doing that. We're just going to chuck them in the fridge. Right at the top. And hope that they thicken up in time for me to do something with them today. Might take too long. We're gonna find out. I probably should have done those in a bunch of smaller ramekins to give them the best chance to set up, right? I should have done those like in these little guys. It's not technically too late. I'm gonna not second guess myself right now. And we're gonna go take a peek at the, oh my God, I got tapioca all over my shirt. And join me over here with the pot holders. Let's take a peek together at this. Ooh, it's boiling over. Just a little bit, but it's boiling over. I've got 145 in the middle and like hot out by the sides. Although again, this is everything in there is cooked already. The fact that the sides are trying to boil over makes me want to get it out. Let's do the scratch test on the taters. I don't know if you can hear the scratching. But they have a crispy top, so I think that's my sign that that this is ready to come out and serve. It is also boiling hot right now, so I'm going to grab a glamour shot of it here. Where's my phone? I always put my phone down in different places every day, like a fool. Like a fool. I'm going to take a shot of it here intact on the stove. Well, no, I'll move it over to the counter on a trivet and get a cleaner background. Oh, it looks good though. It looks how I picture it. Hey, and we can even use our Menards branded hot pad. Another Midwest classic. We could also grate some cheese over the top and put it back in. Maybe just a quick shot to melt the cheese, because that's an optional. Or you say that the top needs some color. Well, the classic topping, and we could put it in and bake it actually, but the classic topping is tomato ketchup. So actually, oops, I changed the order of those things. Come on, gently. That's the topping. We're gonna put it back in, and because now I've got some ketchup on it, I'm gonna put it back in enough for the ketchup to kind of melt into it. But you're right, it needed some color on the top, and it's either cheese or ketchup are the toppings. Or, and I didn't do this, but this is a good hack. This is actually a really good hack in general, and you should try it out in a lot of places, is crispy fried onions. The most common brand you'll find around the US is French's, but it's not the only one available. Those are an excellent hack because they are already most of the way to being caramelized. They're seasoned but fairly lightly, most with salt, and they have a sort of thin starchy coating on them, which is part of the frying process. But if you include them in a recipe, they are a seasoning, a sweetener, a savory element, a thickener. They do all sorts of stuff. And you can also use them as a crispy topping. In something like this, a scoop of them in the interior early on in the cooking process would sort of infuse it with this really cooked out onion flavor and help with the thickening. You could also sprinkle some of them on top, especially if instead of tater tots you're going with a mashed potato topping. Having some crispy fried onions on top of that would be good. They're an excellent, like, all-round just sort of hack for the things that they're not really marketed for. They're not marketed as a thickener or as caramelized onions, but they're kind of both of those things. I turned the heat up on the oven to try to get it to really kind of blast that top out a little bit. Do I have Kewpie mayo? I do. Brand new one, in fact, unopened. We obviously finished the last one. I don't think I'm going to put mayo in this. Not because it wouldn't be good, but because it's not the classic. Again, this is, I'm trying to sort of stick to, mayo does not need to be refrigerated until you open it. So we're going to leave that in here. We're sticking with the classic for this. This is the food of my ancestors. Kind of. My ancestors actually don't come from here. Take a look at it. Yeah. TK, you are not first. Congratulations. There can only be one first, and today it was not you. That's probably been long enough. We don't need to go nuts on the ketchup. The ketchup obviously doesn't need to be cooked out. So I'm going to, and the rest of it was already looking pretty good. So just enough to kind of take the freshness off of the ketchup. Sort of make it, give it a little bit of a stickiness to it. Okay, now that needs to chill the heck out. And we're gonna move it over here to the branded trivet. It smells good. It smells like it kind of smells like meatloaf. Honestly, it's not when you say like meatloaf topping, even before putting the ketchup on, it kind of has that smell because it's similar seasonings and ground beef. It's just sort of that flavor profile taken in the direction of a pot pie or a shepherd's pie or one of these like crusted pie things. No, this is way better than a high school lunch. Okay, the lighting's never the greatest in here, but at least we have a shot of it intact. It doesn't really need to rest much at all. Let's see how much it dripped onto my pizza stone. We'll have to scrape that off a little bit later. You would get this kind of thing at a school lunch sometimes, but it would not be like this. It would not be as good as this. It would be the more basic version with mashed potato as a topping, and they wouldn't call it this. They would call it something else. If you've never had American school lunches, they're terrible. It has been an absolute battle to try to give children a decent meal. And then you get stupid stuff like the government classifies ketchup as a vegetable and French fries as a vegetable. So French fries with ketchup is 2 servings of vegetable. No wonder our kids are unhealthy. And at one point, pepperoni pizza was a vegetable because it had tomato sauce on it, and the government classified tomato sauce as a serving of vegetables. Um, just absolute nonsense like that. So I just wanted this to cool off enough that it kind of sets a little bit. Did I put the? I did. Why did I put these? I'm gonna need these. I'm gonna need these every time I want to handle this thing because it's boiling hot. This has actual vegetables in it. There's a large onion, a large carrot, a cup of corn, a cup of peas, and however many mushrooms were in that mushroom soup in there. I want to push it back a little bit because it stopped bubbling, so that means to me that I can scoop it out. And you just kind of serve it, a scoop of it by itself. Or at a potluck, it'd be a scoop of it sort of on the corner. But I think we can follow the lines. I think we can follow the lines with like something like this and take like almost like a lasagna piece of it. Although the interior is going to be much goopier. I took a photo of this, and my follow-up idea is to take a chunk out, put it on a separate plate, and then have a photo of the plated individual piece with this in the background over on the actual photo station with the good light. But I wanted to get one shot here intact before I dove in on it. Clear up my photo station. I'll briefly show this off because I just moved it off of my photo station. Oops. Look, I got 1,000,000 bell peppers out of the discount bin. They look completely perfect. So, hey, let's do something with bell peppers. I did get a photo with the ketchup. I actually did not get a photo without the ketchup. I stopped myself taking a photo, and then I added the ketchup, and then I put it back in. So I got to think of a plate, and it's going to be a piece about that big. So the plate doesn't want to be massive, and it's got kind of a tan color to it. So brown doesn't seem good. Yes, stuffed peppers would be good. Actually, you could use this as a stuffed pepper filling. If you cut it down a bit and like bulked out the interior with something a little more starchy, like chopped up potatoes, you could probably convince this to go into a stuffed pepper pretty well. Oh, there's a smudge on my black plate. And now there's not. Is that too big? It's gonna be too big, is the problem. I need like, I think this, which is also a big plate, but because of the wide rim, we're only working with that much plate area in the middle. I think that's going to be just what I'm looking for. And decorative design plates are also relatively commonplace. Okay, let's attempt so baking should have caused the goopy interior to thicken up a little bit. It's still going to be goopy, but I'm just hoping it's thickened up just enough that I can get it to come out without completely disintegrating. Ooh. I don't think we're going to get it to come out without disintegrating. I think we're going to have a mess. Mostly. Honestly, that's probably about as good as I can ask for the consistency of the stuff. Get the remainder out. And that's kind of what it looks like on the plate. And that's, if it's the only thing you have, that's a pretty good serving of it. For a potluck, you'd have just like a scooper, a scoopy spoon, like the one we used to fill the thing, and you would just take one scoop because you'd have, 5 other things on the plate. We're going to give it a crack of fresh pepper. And you don't put green stuff on it usually. Let me go take a photo. We're going to attempt to make it look like a facsimile of something nice. This should be cool enough that it's not going to burn the wood out there, right? Yeah, that'll be fine. Honestly, I haven't cooked like down home cooking like this in a while. I've gotten really hung up on like exploring exotic cuisine. And it just occurred to me, oh, I haven't done like the food of my people. Meat and potatoes. This is hot dish. Hi, Isosceles. You're not first, Isosceles. Congratulations. You did it. Let's bring it back. No reason to have it sitting out there. It is very much in the vein of shepherd's pie or pot pie. Another pretty common... Oh, thank you for the moisten. Moist. What was I saying? I was saying another pretty common variant that I think is more common in the southern U.S. Is basically the same thing. The internal ingredients can vary a lot, but instead of being covered with potatoes, it's covered with biscuits. They'll get one of those like biscuit rounds and tuck them in as a topping and then bake the whole thing, and the biscuits will bake on the top. This whole thing, very common sort of rural American eating. Like I keep saying, church potluck food. Yes, drop biscuits, or just the tubes, you know, the pre-made tubes where you pop them and they come out in little sections. I guess we should taste it. And you want a scoop with a little bit of everything, which in this case is super easy. It's steaming hot, so I'm going to give it a blow. Mmm. Mmm. I mean, it's definitely very different from the kind of things I typically cook. But it's just like rich and warm and comforting, super comfort food. Uh, the flavor is mild. Seasoning is very mild overall, even with the fresh cracked pepper on the top. It's very meaty. It's also very creamy, even though there's very little dairy in here. Um, the potatoes on the top give a interesting texture contrast as well as an interesting flavor contrast because the potatoy flavor is not mixed in with the interior stuff, which is all very much melded together into a single flavor. So it gives a fun contrast to it, plus little crispy edges. But also, the corn specifically, because we didn't really cook it out before we put it in there, still has most of its texture, and it kind of pops when you bite into it. But this is just like, and exactly what you said. You did a stew because the weather was starting to turn cold. This is oh, the weather's getting chilly. Just kind of, it's hearty, it's warming, it's very comforting, it's stick to your ribs. Oh, and it's just nice. It's just nice. You could do a bunch of fancy stuff to this. You could, like I said at the start, you could take the time to make your own seasoned cream soup base, which would be oh God, it would be some French something something. You'd start with a bechamel, and you'd build that up, and you'd add mushroom into it, and it probably has a name that I've lost track of. Anyway, because it would have mushroom and onion, you'd kind of develop those flavors. But also, like I said at the beginning, this was designed. This dish was designed to use canned condensed soups as not as a convenience, but as the normal way. So it's meant to be kind of this low key, mild, but just sort of warm and happy. Food that makes you say, "Oh," except it's not. It's food that people who say "ope" would enjoy. It's really easy too. This is the thing. I stopped and chit-chatted with you a lot, but frankly, it's a pound of meat that you cook. You can use pre-cut frozen carrots and peas. They come as a mix, which makes that step super easy. You can cook the onions with the beef. They'll cook at around the same time it takes to cook the beef pretty well, so you don't actually need to do a separate step for that. The corn doesn't need to be cooked at all, so you have one pre-cooking step, and then it all mixes together. You put it in here, you put a topping on it, which can be even simpler than tater tots. You can, any sort of starchy thing that'll get crispy on the top is good. Food that makes you say, oh yeah, sure. Now, these days, you're right. This would have filled you up without a lot of money, except these days beef has gotten expensive. So I would say you could do this same thing with a cheaper protein, and it would be a damn cheap way to make a lot of food. Because that's a lot of food. I'll be eating this for days. I'll be eating this all week. Maybe I'll scoop some of it into a pepper and see what happens when I just bake it as a pepper. Oh, I like it. I'm not going to say, wow, this is the greatest thing ever, but I am going to say, man, it's just really good and I like it. Put an egg on it for breakfast. Make a scoop of that, fried egg on top. Well, it's good. And I just wanted to show off. I wanted to show off the food of my people. And the ketchup, even the ketchup is just like, it's just a little hint of sort of a topping. It's not even the volume of ketchup compared to the volume of the rest of this stuff. You're not getting a ton of ketchup. It's just like a little kiss. You just like tater tots. Oh, that's sad. Well, you won't get the crispy edges on mashed potatoes, but you could definitely do this with mashed potatoes, make more of a shepherd's pie. You could. I made a shepherd's pie a while back, and I did mashed potatoes, and my recommendation if you do this with that is put as little dairy into your mashed potatoes as you can get away with to make them smooth, because some of it will try to separate when they're baking, and it'll with a wet filling like this, it will not be very stable. In this case, the wet filling is fine because there are gaps in between all the tater tots. So anything that bubbles up and steams up can just steam up in between them. Your mashed potatoes are going to form more of a solid topping, so that's going to be a consideration. You could try it with hash browns. You could try it with biscuits. You could try it with. You could just make it a pot pie. Like the filling is not dissimilar to just a pot pie. So you could do it with a crust, like a pie crust topping. How are these custards looking? Ooh, they're pretty wet still. I bet hash browns would work. I bet they would work. You might. If there were those like puck-shaped ones, they definitely would work. You think tater tots have a weird flavor? Maybe you've just had weird tater tots, because I feel like they have exactly the same flavor as a hash brown. And I just grabbed a random discount brand one. Formed potatoes. So if I pull out one of these custards, it is, as you can see, still soup. Still mostly soup. It's been in there for 20 minutes. I might just have not put enough egg in it for the volume. Let's give it a. It's thickening up. Okay, the problem is it's still 80 degrees in there. It's clearly thickening up. I would like to wait for it if possible. I feel like it is actually getting there. It definitely had some thickness when I poked it just now. It's just that it's still 80 degrees in the middle. That is strange. I'm not sure what's causing that because every tater tot I've had tastes like hash browns, but in a different shape. Boy, if my neighbor hadn't moved, I could go and take a scoop of this and say, "Here you go, neighbor. Hot dish." If you haven't heard, which I don't know how you could have unless I said it here, my neighbor, the one who supplies me with meat, has moved on to greener pastures. So our barbecue friend is gone, which is sad, but ah well. I really would like those custards. I should have put those custards in the smaller ramekins. They would have had more of a chance to cool off. Burley Earl is doing a flyby. Hi Earl, how's it going? We just got through tasting. We're waiting. We're killing a little bit of time. We're waiting for the corn custards to set up. This is the finished product here. Mighty fine, as the title says, the food of my people. Good to see you. Well, there's going to be enough to share because, I mean, look at it. It's huge. So I've been nibbling while we give those custards a little bit more time in the fridge. I think I made them too big. I should have cut them down into these little guys. And they would have had a bit, or even like a small glass for a thinner wall. Because they're just taking a little bit too much time. What you made lately, Earl? Nom, nom, nom. Italian sausage calzones. I need to practice calzones. Mine come out weirdly lumpy. Definitely the kind of thing that takes some practice to get that nice shape. Homemade dough, homemade dipping sauce. What's your favorite dip? Just manhandle it. You say that, but that's the problem. It broke. it broke on me. I had it lumpy, and it was because it was stretched too tightly over the fillings, and it just wanted to tear. It was entirely my fault. I definitely overfilled it. Reduced marinara is your dipping sauce of choice. A classic. I guess with Italian sausage, I would also go with a marinara. You know, a spiced tomato sauce. Because what else would you do? You could do like You do like a garlic cream sauce. Very likely. Let's see. Oh, there was a suggestion box. Bell pepper puff pastries. Apple fritters are the last thing you dropped off, which look very good. By the way, I was thinking like a garlic infused cream sauce, like a sorry, I go silent because I'm brainstorming all of a sudden. Could you do a garlic extraction into butter to make a garlic butter and then use the garlic butter as the fat base with some flour to then construct a garlic infused bechamel without bits in it? Oh my goodness, they're so pretty. That's way neat. Oh my god, yeah, that's way neater than anything I've got going on. Mine come out lumpy, and I have to vent them because they always want to explode. Um, Roast some garlic, mix it. You could make a compound butter. Yeah, you could do a compound butter, but I was thinking if you did a compound butter, you would want to roast that butter or that garlic until it was like jammy soft, so that there was no bits to it at all. Fold it into the butter, and then you could use that as your base. But what I was thinking was you take a starting point of a garlic butter, which is a butter infused with garlic, the kind you get at like a pizza place, and use that as a base so that there's no visible bits of garlic, but you get this shot of garlic flavor. And the best way to do that would be to do a garlic infusion, and then you'd strain the bits out. You could use black garlic. Black garlic would give you a very different flavor. We've got some black garlic. We've got some black garlic here. Black garlic would give you a very different flavor. And it would be unavoidable. When you put black garlic in something, that thing turns black. It would be unavoidable to get the color in there. But you can paste black garlic finely enough that you don't see the bits. I've done that too. So that would be an interesting way to get it in there without there being like bits. Because it's already very jammy. But if you roast a garlic, we did that with the little roaster. I am just killing time for our custard, so I don't mind chit-chatting. We used our little roaster. We made some really, really jammy roast garlic. And you could do that and then fold that into a butter and then use that butter as the starting point. So, Earl, this is what I do when I don't have an idea. We just start spitballing and stuff happens. Sometimes we do it live and we just start out with no idea and we roll out on it. Roast the black garlic. I've never tried doing that. That might burn it. It's already... Oh, it smells very good. They're already pretty crispy. When you crack this thing, I don't want to break the skin now, but when you break them open, they're like almost like little shriveled up nuggets on the inside, because they don't have a lot of moisture left to them. I am not super experienced as a bread guy. I've done some breads. We've done baguette. We've done pizza dough. We've done some, but I've never been like super confident. I'm more giddy and excited when I get one to work right because I'm used to them being like passable as opposed to spot on. So if you've got one, I might give that a go just to check. It is aged fermented garlic, but it has changed consistencies. The properties of it are quite different from fresh garlic. It's already, without roasting it, so soft that you can spread it with a knife. It's very sticky. It's like a sticky paste in there. I just feel like roasting it might not work out the way you're expecting. Oh yeah, Earl has a website, and he posts links in our Discord, and I should drop a link to our Discord right now. There you go. See, I have permission. Where you can see some of the recipes that we're talking about. If you're not already in. If you are, good. Let's take a peek at those custards again. How many more minutes has it been? They're still pretty liquid. They're still pretty liquidy. They might just not have enough egg. We did just sort of wing it. They don't feel warm at all. Oh, you're looking at the top of my head. They don't feel warm at all, but they still like want to slosh around. These might just not have enough egg in them. It's got a, oh God, it's still 70 degrees in there. That's the problem. Oh God, they're definitely thickening up. I just wish it was faster. Because it's definitely doing something. Just not fast. Well, it is a science. We had half of our can of corn left, so we brainstormed our way into making corn custard, for which I also didn't have some of the other ingredients, so we substituted a bunch of stuff, and we're just kind of playing with it. The thing is, it is thickening as it cools. We just need to get it to fridge temp, but it doesn't. It's gonna cool slower the closer it gets, and I don't want to put it in the freezer because I don't want to freeze it because I don't want to ruin the texture of the custard. It just needs to sit there, and I'm worried that it just needs to sit there for. Well, I think it just needs to sit there for a while is the problem. Could I transfer? Well, the thing is now, I'm worried that it's thickened enough that if I transfer it, I won't get a smooth top. But what if I would like to, because I would like to taste it with you guys. I can let them sit there and get a glamour shot later, but I would like to taste it with you guys. What if I take do exactly what you said there, but go real small. We're using a soup spoon. Do I have a spot for it? Kind of. I still don't necessarily trust doing this in the freezer, but yeah. So basically I said, yes, Prayuta, good idea. And then I said, what if we do it this way? And then I described your idea again. Okay, let's see if we can't get that little guy to chill out. Fortunately, the freezer is currently running, so it's actively pushing more cold air in there. I think the big ones just need time. And also, the whole thing could have used a second egg for sure. We used the biggest egg I had, one of the biggest eggs I've ever seen. But I think 2 medium-sized eggs would have been still more egg. So we could have taken one of the small eggs and tossed it in there. This stuff's good even as it cools down. Take care, Earl. We're unlikely to wait too much longer on that custard. I want to give it a taste. This main event dish is tasty, though. What would you do with this, or what would you do instead of ground beef? What would be the go-to? Problem is, it relies on having a stronger flavored meat in there. So you wouldn't really want to go with, like, chicken. Ground turkey, maybe? I bet you could do this with ground turkey and it'd be pretty good. I feel like ground pork would also be much too fatty. Because I like that we used a low-fat meat for this. Also, I'm glad this fit in this container, because this container has a lid. So I can just go lid, and then it's ready to take to the church potluck. Okay, well, I'm not sure how long to let that custard sit there. There's only about 2 tablespoons of it in that little dish. And we're losing some people, so I should wrap it up. How you doing? It's jiggly. I don't know if it's jiggly custard or jiggly wet. If it starts to freeze, you got to get it out of there. I'm going to end up finishing my serving of this stuff. That scoop that I gave myself was definitely plenty. No need for seconds on this. Mmm. 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 And we've cleaned the plate. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I no longer wish to wait. I know it hasn't been very long. But there he is. A little tiny scoop of our corn custard. Let's find out if it's... I bet you they'll be set up in like an hour. It's not going to hold its shape, but it's not like completely liquid. It's cold. Mm. It's interesting. Funnily enough, the part on the skinny end over here actually did set up most of the way. So I feel like we're going to get it to be at least like a pudding consistency. Maybe a little bit less than that, like a melted ice cream consistency. It's not a very strong flavor. It tastes, you can really taste the nutmeg. It's just kind of this creamy, it's got this sort of creamy, rich unctuousness where it sort of coats your mouth. And then it's full of pieces of sweet corn, which have definitely not brought a ton of sweetness, but they have brought a lot of corn flavor and a little, since I didn't do anything else to them, they pop like raw corn or like cooked, freshly cooked corn. I don't know that I'd go out of my way to make this. I also feel like I made it wrong and could return and make it better, but I obviously cleaning it out. It's sweet. The nutmeg is the strongest flavor we've got going on, which is fine. The corn doesn't really seem to be adding much, so not entirely sold on makeshift style corn custard. Perhaps if I followed a proper recipe and did it from scratch, I could get the corn flavor more infused. I am going to take us out and wrap us up, however. Tasted that. If it sets up enough to get like a scoop and it mostly holds its shape, we'll get a picture of that down the line. I'm going to let the ones in the fridge sit there for a while See if that works. Um, Otherwise, I'll take a terrible picture. They don't look like anything without that, so I guess there'll be no additional pictures because they won't look any different than that. They'll just look like corn soup in a cup. So yeah, well, apparently we did lose some frames at some point, but just briefly because I only lost a tiny bit, and it didn't interrupt any of my stuff. So, thanks for bearing with me from yesterday into today. Thanks for everybody who showed back up. Sorry to everybody who missed out, who showed up yesterday and couldn't come back today. It was very sad. Thanks to Flemish for the sub. Thank you for the follows. We got a couple follows. We don't call out follows if you want to follow me. It just shows up in my list and I can say, hey, thanks. Hope you liked seeing the food of western Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa area. It's tasty. It's not. I mean, it might. Maybe it is fancy. I know I've cooked some things that I think are very exotic and fancy. That people have come in and say, "Oh, I love that. That's comfort food from wherever they're from." They've come in to check it out and see me make their local comfort food. Well, I made my local comfort food, and it's very tasty. I say give it a try, especially if you're in the U.S. These ingredients are very easy to come by, and I was brainstorming. Any sort of low-fat ground meat should work for the meat if you don't want to do beef. You could probably do that. We could do a mushroom version of this. We could do a veggie version of this with mushrooms in there instead of the beef. I think that'd be mighty tasty too. Anyways, yeah, thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for hanging out. And let's find someone to drop you guys off on. Who we got? Haven't been out on a Tuesday for a minute. Let's see. Scary game. Oh, it must be October. It must be October. Everyone's doing spooky, scary things. Well, you know her, you love her. We go there all the time. We're going there again. It's LaFay. We're gonna go say hi to LaFay. LaFay's being Hellblade, which is Hellblade 2, which is only kind of scary because it's about mental health, which is scary. So yeah, I already said thanks for showing up and all that blah 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 blah. I don't have any plans for October at all. Completely blindsided. So I guess we're just gonna wing it. We're gonna wing it for the whole month. Who knows? If you've got a suggestion, throw it at me. We'll probably do it because I don't have any ideas. Yeah. So there. We're going to have to solve the camera issue because I don't want to deal with having to completely reset this guy every time I move him to the other room. So I might take the time to find a new camera. We'll see. There's the countdown, so I will wave you out. Maybe we'll zoom in.